Welcome to the table. You are now listening to the Real Table Podcast with Michael Carter.
Welcome back to another episode of the Real Table Podcast with your host, Michael Carter. And it is great, as always, to be back at the table. This past week was crazy for me. I was sick the day after. So like last Tuesday, I just got really sick. Or like, it felt like it was like the stomach bug, but it was like also some other stuff going on with my body. And I just couldn't do nothing from Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday was when I was on the up end. And then Friday, I felt way better. But yeah, I was sick last week and it was rough. And so I just spent the whole week watching TV. I was watching Scrubs. Scrubs is one of my favorite shows. So I was watching a lot of Scrubs. I finished Fallout, the show that's on Amazon Prime based off of a video game. If you haven't seen it, go check that out for sure. It's pretty good. And then I watched Reacher. I started Reacher. Another Amazon Prime show. And it's pretty good. Pretty good. I'm on season 2 now, but I've enjoyed it quite a bit. So I'm happy to be healthy and happy to finally get this episode going. I'm excited to talk about Sing. It's probably one of the best movies that you probably haven't seen if you haven't seen it. But beyond that, before we get into Sing, which I'm really excited to talk about, we got a lot of stuff to talk about beyond Sing, news stuff, just stuff that's happened in the last week that I want to just touch on and just kind of give you my thoughts on that. The first one is Captain America Brave New World. If you haven't seen it, it is out. There's an episode with me and my friend Joe Krebs that you can go watch. And here are our thoughts about Captain America Brave New World. Captain America Brave New World, struggling at I won't say struggling at the box office. It did pretty solid last week. But this past weekend, it's kind of fallen off. It looks like a 68% drop off, which is, it's pretty bad. That means it's not being as consistent as it was opening weekend. So people are not going to see it. And it has yet to hit 150 million domestically. This is one of those movies where it's rare because it's a Marvel movie and you expect Marvel to have this impact. But I think what people are seeing and what we can see from this is that, people care about these movies still, but the level to which they care about is non-existent. I believe that will change when Fantastic Four releases. Thunderbolts is an anomaly, I think, or is a question mark, I should say. It's a wild card. I'm not really sure what it's going to do. I think the big thing with Brave New World, and I thought about this from the get, it needed to have good word of mouth. And I think the word of mouth is not great right now for it. So you got people that just don't care enough to go see it, and I understand. But I think, looking at Thunderbolts is in the same position. I think Thunderbolts is in the same position where it needs the word of mouth. I think that's a film that, even though it has somebody like Florence Pugh in front of it, Sebastian Stan, David Harbour, like it has some names, but are those names good enough to get people in seats? Like, is it good enough to get people to care about these characters that aren't popular, right? Whereas I think Fantastic Four would be completely different, because I think the way that Marvel is going to push this movie, which I talked about in the last episode, if you listened, and if you haven't, go back and listen to it. I think the way that Marvel is going to push Fantastic Four, we're going to see people give a care about this movie. They're going to give a lot of care about this movie, and even going forward, I think looking at the MCU, I kind of have an idea of what they're going to go. I think other people do too. If you read the comics and if you just do a little bit of research on what's coming, you have an idea of where they're going towards. And the Fantastic Four are going to be the forefront characters. Fantastic Four are essentially going to be, they're not going to replace, what Iron Man, Thor, and all those people were. No, but they're going to be forefront characters like the Guardians of the Galaxy. They're an adjacent group, right? So the Fantastic Four is going to be essential going forward for Marvel. So I expect the movie to be pushed extra hard in the coming months. In Thunderbolts, we will see what Marvel does with that, but we're treading towards March, and I haven't seen any crazy promotional for Thunderbolts, but they're promoting it with new footage and stuff in theaters and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how the general audience reacts to that. But word of mouth is going to go a long way for Thunderbolts. It's going to go a long way. But yeah, Brave New World, 68% drop off. We'll see what it does overall. I'm curious to see how it ends its theatrical run. I don't think it's gonna, again, at this point, it's not gonna make a splash hit. And it's the first big movie, quote unquote, of the year. So we'll see what happens there. Oscars. The Oscars are this Sunday. Excuse me. And I'm just ready for it to be over with. Yeah, I'm just over the whole award season stuff. I think I'm over the nominees, and just nobody's being problematic unless you're Amelia Perez. I don't think any of a lot of these nominations, depending on how you look at it, just feels very uninspired. I don't care about a lot of them. Obviously, I watched Sing 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 recently, and I have a lot of thoughts on how Sing 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 has played throughout award season. And I just think we're in an era where the Oscars mean something, but I think it doesn't have its value and its effect on society. I walk in a room, I say I want an Oscar. People are like, oh, that's pretty big. People generally know what the Oscars are. I don't think it has the same effect. It has the same impact as we've seen in years past growing up for me, right? I'm 27. I don't think it's had the same impact as I was growing up. Growing up, I felt like it meant something. People cared. Right now, people don't care, right? Like you have that to your name, and it's great. I just don't think people don't care. And I also don't think the Academy cares that people don't care, right? You obviously can't cater to everybody. You can't cater to everybody to care about the Oscars, but like, you gotta wonder, where do you find that middle ground, right? I'm curious to see what the viewership does this Sunday. I think I'll watch it if I have time. Like I can't tell you how I'm just over it. And I think this is the first time in a long time. I think there are always years where I'm like, there are a few movies that I'm really caring about these products. Whether I've seen it or not, I'm caring about who's being nominated and who's this. Where this year, I'm like, I don't get it. There's still there's movies that I still have to see to really fully give a very, very great analysis on it. But I'm just finding hard to care, right? I'm finding hard to care, especially when I sit and I watch a movie like Sing Sing Sing, which again, I'll break down my frustration, but like, I'm finding hard to care, right? And I read a tweet today, and it said, so they do these, I think Verity, if I'm not mistaken, or it's a Hollywood Reporter, one of the two. One of them, they do these anonymous Oscar ballots where anonymous Academy members give their 2 cents and their thoughts on the voting process, or not even voting process, of what they voted for and why they voted for and all this stuff. The one a day, let me pull it up right here. The one a day kind of it just annoyed me. It said 4 anonymous Oscar voters all said they didn't watch Dune Part 2 and abstained from ranking it on their best picture palette. One of the quotes I said the first Dune I couldn't get through. I'm not rushing for another 3 hours of Dune. The first Dune I couldn't get through. I'm not rushing for another 3 hours of Dune. Again, this is my issue. If you want people to care, about this craft, whether you're interested or not, it's beyond the point. First off, I would probably kill to have the axe. I won't say I would kill. That's overkill and exaggeration. I think there are plenty other people that would love to have the access to be able to watch some of this stuff and even vote, right, and have an impact on what's supposed to be Hollywood's most important night. And for some reason, we hear these things about 4 people not watching Dune, when I can call out and I can say it point blank, Dune, the way that Dune was filmed and everything about it is more brilliant than a lot of these films that are being featured. Have I watched all these films? No, I haven't watched all these films. But we can both watch different trailers. We can watch each of the trailers, and we can compare and go, which film did the filmmaker? And again, I'm not questioning one's heart, one's level of heart and drive for a specific product, but like, you can look at the Dune Part 2 trailer and go, there's something here. There's something important here. And not only that, it was one of the highest grossing movies of 2024. I'm not interested in it, so I'm not going to watch it. That's lazy. It's lazy. And again, if the Academy wants people to care, our viewers are down. People are not. If you don't care, and this is not this is nothing about because Dune is this big blockbuster, it should have been this and this and this. No, but it's the fact of the matter that Dune is quality filmmaking. And to see that this is how some people in the Academy view not just Dune, but view some of these films and instead of going, I'm going to take advantage of these films. I'm going to look and listen to what people are saying. I'm going to go check these out for myself and make a valid, constructive opinion instead of going, well, I couldn't make it through the first one, so I'm not going to watch the second. It's lazy. And I think it's a part of multiple reasons why people just don't care about the Oscars. It's like, how do you expect people to care, people to tune in on Hollywood's biggest night, and you don't care enough to actually do the homework? Do the homework. It's stupid to me, right? And again, I've seen Dune, and so part of me, I think I have a bias to it a little bit, but I just think it's like, dude, it's one of the highest grossing movies of last year, and you're telling me you're not gonna at least check it out and see how Denny directed his butt off for this film, using practical effects wherever he could, and took really care about this film. All you have to do is just watch it and give a critical analysis on it. Decide if you're going to vote for it. It's just lazy, right? It's just lazy. So that's why I think the Oscars are just, I don't know. It's a year by year thing, right? And it's not because of, oh, you're voting for the films that I care about. No, but like, I want to care about some of the movies. And some of the movies this year, I'm like, I've seen some of them, reading the plot, reading the analysis and stuff like that, and I'm like, I'll watch it when I can. But I think this is the first year in a long time where I'm like, I do not care. I could care less. I could care less. I would love for Coleman Domingo to win Best Actor. Will it happen? I don't know. I don't care. Right? So, the Oscars, the Oscars, the Oscars. And I salute to the people that actually care and that work really hard and keep up with it. Like, I salute you, because in a year like this year, good filmmaking is there. Good filmmaking is present. I've heard of a few other films that are wowing people. Nickel Boys is part of that. I heard The Brutalist is good, but The Brutalist is 3 hours and 30 minutes, which is ironic, because if those 4 voters decided to vote for The Brutalist but didn't watch Dune Part 2, again, how does that make sense? So again, there's a few films out there that I've heard that are pretty good, but other than that, it's just not for me this year, and that's okay. Lucasfilms, Lucasfilm boss to step down? Question mark. It was recently said that Kathleen Kennedy, big Lucasfilm boss, if you kept up with Lucasfilms, and that's Star Wars, that's Indiana Jones, is that bucket. Apparently she's stepping down after this year. Apparently somebody close to her said that that's not true and it hasn't been decided, which makes me think it probably was and it just got leaked. I'm kind of glad that that's happening. I think Star Wars and just Lucasfilm in general just need something fresh. They need fresh vision. Kathleen Kennedy, I think she was a part of, I'm pretty sure she was a part of the crew that basically resurrected Star Wars. Star Wars had been gone for a long time before 2015, and nobody knew if we would ever do a Star Wars again. I think it was probably entertained, but she was a part of the producing team behind The Force Awakens and brought Star Wars back. Her big crowning achievement. It's unfortunate because I think for me, I don't know if I could completely say I'm really excited that she's gone, because I think she was not given. I think throughout her 10-year, wow, we're coming up. Oh, this year is 10 years since The Force Awakens. That's incredible. If we look at her 10-year mark, at her 10-year career with Lucasfilm, I think there's some goods and there's some straight up bads. I think one of the goods is bringing The Force Awakens, bringing Star Wars back. The Force Awakens, I think, even though people have issues with it, I think it's an achievement. It is a huge achievement, and it was a hit unlike any other. And it brought some excitement back to a franchise that hadn't been touched in years. But then I think the issue, and I still can't wrap my head around this. It failed after that. The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. One of the biggest fumbles, I think personally, one of the biggest fumbles in Hollywood history. It's one of the biggest fumbles in Hollywood history. You take something like The Force Awakens and you kind of drop it, right? You kind of drop it and there's no clear plan on where to go. And I won't say she ruined Star Wars. I'm not going to say she ruined Star Wars, because you get The Mandalorian out of this, right? You get a new season of Clone Wars, the last season of Clone Wars. Like, you get some really good moments in her 10-year tenure with Lucasfilm. But I think ultimately, not cautiously, and not creating a cool plan, a legit plan for three movie trilogy, I think was her biggest failure. And in not even just her biggest failure, it led to crazy fandom that we have right now. It's led to why Star Wars is where it is right now. So I think it is good that if she does leave, I think it's good because Star Wars needs fresh vision. It needs fresh direction. It needs somebody that's going to be like, we're going to do this and we're going to do it. I'm not listening to what Jerry 52 geek nerd has figurines in his basement. I'm not listening to what he has to really say about Star Wars. I'm not listening. What we're going to do is we're going to create a world that people beyond Jerry, who's 52 and living in his basement, care about these characters. That's the difference. And Kathleen couldn't do that. Granted, I think part of it is her fault, but also part of it is the fandom. Star Wars is a toxic fan base right now. And honestly, I should say right now, it probably has always been that way. Let's be honest. People threw fit about the Disney bringing Star Wars back to begin with. So Disney needs to find somebody, who's beyond this is what the fans want, this is what the fans want. Stop delivering exactly what the fans want right now, in my opinion. In my opinion, you're not listening to people say that Jon Favreau, should not be one of the heads at Lucasfilm, or Dave Filoni should not be one of the heads at Lucasfilms, or possibly Kevin Feige should not be one of the heads at Lucasfilms. You're not listening to those people. Who's going to pitch the best ideas and lead this franchise somewhere it needs to go? That's the difference right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But Star Wars needs direction. We don't need more announcements of this is coming, this is coming. We need direction. You butchered that franchise. You butchered that trilogy. That trilogy was butchered. That's not me being biased. It was butchered. It's what the MCU is doing right now. Not sure where it's going, not sure where to go. That's what that trilogy was. Now you need to find somebody who can paint the pathway for the next 10 years of Star Wars. Or hang it up, box it, throw it away. And Disney's not going to do that. There's too much money. Star Wars is in the parks, right? Star Wars is being sold. People are still watching the content. Like, it's Star Wars. They're not going to box it up and they're not going to throw it away. But there's money being left on the table when you don't take care of the product. Take care of the product. You can't cater to the 52-year-olds who care specifically about lore. Yes, be true to the lore, but also take risks. Calculate a risk. Not the Last Jedi risks. Not the Rise of Skywalker risk. No, you're not risking it like you did the last trilogy in that way. You're risking it in a way that makes sense. That re-sparks that passion for Star Wars. That's what they need to do. So, not sure if a successor will fix the issues, but I do think a successor needs just to come in and they need to be authoritative of what they're going to do and what the plan is. People will come and people will care. And again, it's not catering to those 52-year-olds. Star Wars is going to transcend those 52-year-olds. It's going to transcend them. create the product that for people to care about. And I'm also thinking no more Star Wars shows. Part of me wants to say no to shows. I think it's time to phase out Star Wars shows. Star Wars needs to be an event like The Force Awakens. It needs to be an event. And it doesn't feel like an event right now. Meanwhile, Andor Season 2, for people that care about Star Wars, Andor Season 2 is coming out next month, I think. A trailer just dropped. April 22nd, actually. 12 episodes, same as the first season. I need to watch Andor Season 1. I heard Andor Season 1 was fantastic. I actually watched a few episodes of it. I think 3 or 4. And I enjoyed it. I just haven't finished it. I'm going to go back and finish it. But I heard it's pretty good. So Season 2, trailer is out. Curious to see how that... I think that one's going to play well. People have loved Andor. They've loved what that's brought to Star Wars. Now, DC. A new era of DC is upon us. We've talked a little bit about it. We've, the Superman trailer, and there's some stuff, there's some content out there. So recently, James Gunn gave a little bit of an outlook on DC and its plan. So the plan is for 7 projects a year, which seems like a lot. But it seems, as he's marked it out, it seems like this is there's something for everybody. So 2 live action films a year, 1 animated film a year, 2 live action shows a year, and 2 animated series. It's not bad. It's content for people, and it seems like there's something for everybody. I like the idea of 2 live action films a year. I think 3 is overkill. I think that's where I wish Marvel would go back to. I remember when Marvel moved to 3, I was excited, but I think Marvel should have gone back to the 2-year mark. Really drive home that anticipation. That's what I wanted to see from the MCU, but can't always have your way, right? So I like this plan. I'm intrigued by DC. DC has a chance to do something really, really cool. James Gunn is a great storyteller. He knows, him and Peter Safran know just as much. You got to get people to care about these characters, and it starts with Superman in July. You get people to care about Superman. You get people to be on board with what you have going. I think the sky is the limit because DC has some incredible stories that I think that are better than some of Marvel's stories. The characters and the narrative, the arcs. The sky's the limit there. So, there's a 6-year plan, though, similar to the MCU, that will lead to an Avengers-like event. Hint, Justice League is that's what I would say. It would probably end up being some kind of Justice League film, is what I would think, which is huge. The world is not ready for another Justice League movie. But I think when that moment comes, if James Gunn and team do it the right way, I think we will, hopefully, fingers crossed, get the Justice League movie we've always wanted. I should say we, because some people live and die by Zack Snyder's Justice League. And that's not the Justice League that I've always dreamed of. It isn't. I think a lot of it has inspiration from the animated series that I grew up on. And even if you read some of the comics, you'd see what I'm saying. But if James Gunn and company do it right, I think the DC universe is going to be in great hands. It's going to be in great hands. Again, the amount of characters, the amount of story arcs, I think this world is so much faster than MCU. That's actually preference. But I'm intrigued. I know they're filming the Lantern show right now. That's due next year. It's supposed to be a mature show. I'm really looking forward to that show. The sky's the limit for DC, and I'm cautiously optimistic, man. I like James Gunn, and I like what he's doing. And I'm excited. I did read they're looking at another Batman movie. I'm a little frustrated with the Batman character right now. Batman's my favorite superhero. I'm frustrated more so that the Batman, the one with Robert Pattinson, it's been delayed, and we're waiting on. Apparently, they're still waiting on a script, and it's taking forever to get that film off the ground, and it's kind of annoying. It's rather annoying. It's just annoying. I think a film that went on to be as successful as it was, it's one of those films where I'm like, man, find that story. Find that story. You write that script like your life depends on it, and you get filming. I think we should have had a sequel by now, and I think it's unfortunate that we're still waiting. And what's even worse is that we're doing another Batman film, right? That's not that's supposed to be in this world with this James Gunn Superman. With James Gunn Superman, it's supposed to be in this world, and I just think it brings confusion. It brings too much confusion where I'm like, I kind of want the Batman to wrap up, and then we get to this other Batman, right? But I mean, I guess Batman and Spider-Man are one of those generational characters where I think they will outlive all of us. People will continue to make these products, these films, these shows, and I think audiences will continue to resonate with them. You know, like look at that Spider-Man. Like I just finished. I was supposed to talk about this later. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man on Disney Plus. It's a credible show, and it's the way they rework Spider-Man for a new generation. It's like, dude, this character is really going to outlive us. 27. I've been living my whole life. These 27 years, or it's been less than that, like 24 years. I've been living a lot of my life with the idea of Spider-Man content from this first Spider-Man movie, very first Spider-Man movie. Right? Even watched a little bit of that animated series, that OG animated series, and then since then they've created different Spider-Man iterations. So Spider-Man's gonna outlive us, and I think it's cool for me. You know, as somebody who's grown up with superheroes, I think it's cool to see these characters outlive us and being told in different ways. That's just storytelling now. Every kind of story. My teacher told me this in college. Our professor. She said there's been every kind of story. Every kind of story has been done. It's already been done. The trick is, how do you retell that specific story? How do you tell it differently? How do you elevate it for a different audience? That's the reality. Think about it. Think about any kind of topic. And you're like, well, there's been something about this. There's been something about space. There's been something about superheroes, sports, crime, right? The future, afterlife. But it's how you tell it is where it's different, right? So, intrigued to see how the DC stuff pans out. Obviously, I will be covering Superman, and I think we're going to go through all the Supermans on this podcast. I'm looking forward to that. I think I haven't seen Superman 1 in so long, so it'll be nice to go back to the Christopher Reeve films and then work our way up to Man of Steel. I don't think I'm going to do Batman versus Superman preference, but we'll see. Stay posted for that one. But Daredevil Born Again, more Marvel, more superhero stuff. Daredevil Born Again. So Daredevil had a Netflix show way back when, 2016, I think, or 2015. I think 2015. 2015. There's a show on Netflix, spanned 3 seasons, mature show based off of the Marvel character Daredevil. Disney decides they want to bring the Daredevil character and eventually all the other Marvel Netflix characters over to the MCU. So we're getting Daredevil Born Again, which filmed for a period of time. I think actually no, they filmed one complete season. And then what was it? After they filmed that first season, let me see, filming. Filming started in 2023. And they filmed the whole first season. But after reviewing it, they decided this is not what they wanted for the product, which is interesting. So it was, I think it was originally 6 episodes. And they just decided to change what they had, the product that they had. They were like, this doesn't work. This doesn't work for what what we're looking for. So they rechanged the series. They revised a lot of stuff. And I think a lot of those changes had to do with bringing some of those Netflix characters into this show. They weren't originally supposed to be in the show. Foggy and Karen, if you remember the Netflix show. So now we're getting a show that's more adjacent to the Netflix show. That will be TVMA. It's mature, not for kids. And it's getting rave reactions. It premieres next week, March 5th. Date. March 4th. The first 2 episodes. Well, 2 episodes. It's going to consist of 9 episodes. And I'm really excited about this. I think Daredevil is an exciting character. He's a cool character. He brings a different element to any of this MCU stuff. So it's exciting to see the MCU continue to go into that mature side and go, we can do this. We can continue to go over here, and it doesn't have to be kid family friendly, right? It doesn't have to be that PG-13 route. It doesn't have to be. So it's really cool that they're able to do this, and I'm excited to see it. What am I watching? Before we get into Sing Sing, what am I watching? Severance Season 2 on Apple TV Plus. If you haven't seen Severance, go watch Severance. Probably the best show out there, arguably. I haven't been watching every single show out there, but it's one of the best. Has to be one of the best, for sure. Severance Season 2 on Apple TV Plus. Paradise on Hulu. Paradise might be one of the best new shows that you probably haven't seen. It's on Hulu, starring Sterling K. Brown. And it is phenomenal. I'm going to watch episode 7 actually later today after I finish recording this. Heard episode 7 is crazy. So, Paradise on Hulu. I'm not going to tell you what that's about. Watch the first episode and you'll see. And then I finished Your Family Neighborhood Spider-Man, which is on Disney Plus, which is incredible. If you get kids that like Spider-Man, tell them to check it out. It's actually not as kiddie as I think people have thought. I texted my friend, who's actually been on this podcast. I texted him and I said, hey, check this show out. We watched the first 3 episodes and he was like, oh, wow. I thought this was more kid, right? More kiddie, and was going to be more childlike when it comes to these episodes and the storylines. And he said it's actually pretty good and I'm enjoying it. So check that out. Obviously, I'm watching Reacher in the middle of season 2. I think season 3 is out, I think. Reacher is pretty good. So check that out as well on Amazon Prime. Sing. Took me long enough, but let's get it.
To die, to sleep, to dream.
This is a clemency hearing for your conviction, 25 to life. Since you've been in custody, you've been involved in a theater program.
Gentlemen, let's go.
It's been a program that was established to help people get more in touch with their feelings and truly get some rehabilitation.
I am Gladiator Goliath. I am Spartacus.
I'm Prince Hamlet of Denmark.
And it's turned into something of, I don't know, wonderful.
What part do you play?
From time to time I do act, like we all do.
So are you acting at all during this interview?
We here to become human again and enjoy the things that is not in our reality.
I think you guys are becoming real with each other, vulnerable.
Listen, I already know what you're doing, know who you are, what you about, bro.
What?
You don't get to tell me what I need in prison. You don't get to do that. And don't bring me in those dark corners no more.
The world expects brothers like you and I to walk in with our heads held down. Nah, what you gotta walk in like a king. Everything is yours.
I'm divine now.
Yeah.
This is my theater.
Now give him some love, give him some love.
Go to your most perfect spot. Do you hear anything? Are you with somebody? Are you outside? Hold that feeling.
You gotta admit that I murdered that Hamlet to me, bro. Shakespeare is in his grave right now. He rolled over.
You did your thing, beloved.
I really enjoyed this movie. Directed by Greg Leader. Or Weeder, I should say. Maybe the L is silent. Sorry, Greg. Probably not going to see this, but it's okay. Sing. I thought it was incredible. It really is one of those real films. Michael, what do you mean it's one of those real films? Aren't all films real? All films are real to a certain extent, yes. I think the story and the level of vulnerability makes it real. That's where this movie soars. Right? There's this thing that I say for about certain films. I'm jumping ahead of my notes. Every story is someone's story, right? And obviously it's like, every story is somebody's story, but like, no, like this story represents somebody right now. There's somebody that's going through exactly this, and this is their story. Like, this is the reality of it, right? We might not be able to see the real gravity of it, but what film does and what art does, it can translate some of that to give us a glimpse and a taste of what that actually is, right? So for this movie, Sing Sing, the film centers a group of men, and they're coming from these different circumstances. They're all in prison, and they're coming from these different circumstances. And they're joining this program because the purpose of this program is to essentially rehabilitate them, right? Or give them new life, give them new meaning, give them hope. How to process their emotions differently. How do I process my emotions through this work of art, right? Healing, hope, freedom, right? So that's essentially what this film is, and how it's real and vulnerable, and it's different than most films. And there's some films who take this idea of this is somebody's story, and they do make it real. But I think what hits a little bit closer is how this program is actually existing. This program exists, the RTA program, which is rehabilitation through the arts. It's real. And this movie featured some of those people who used to be in prison who went through this program. That's the impact and that's the weight of Sing Sing for me. It's like, yeah, they were acting in there. There's a script. Yeah, I don't think Coleman's ever been in prison. I don't know about Clarence Macklin. But there's something there where it's like, man, this story is somebody's story. Right? And you realize the weight of it. You really realize the weight of it and go, wow. Like, this is what they're going through. And they're using a play, they're using arts to find freedom from their trauma, to find freedom from the things that they've done and going, how can I reconcile? How can I become a better person? Right? How can I process my emotions differently? That's the beauty of Sing Sing. Coleman Domingo. Fantastic. Fantastic. It's a shame. I go back to the Oscar talk that we were talking about earlier. It's a shame that Coleman Domingo is not getting the love and appreciation that this film deserves. Clarence Macklin plays himself. You want to know how big of a travesty? Award season is that Clarence Macklin plays himself as Divine Eye. And Buddy puts on a performance. This is the thing, he plays himself, but as he plays himself, I believed every second of this character. I believe every moment of what he's been through. I believe every moment of his trauma. He plays himself and doesn't get the love. Doesn't get the love that he deserved. The weight and the deepness of his anger in each word and each moment. It's a travesty. I'm going to try not to go back into the Oscar conversation. It's just a travesty. I dare you. This is a real dare. Go watch Sing Sing. Go watch Sing Sing. And come back and tell me. I've seen A Real Pain with Kieran Culkin. I've seen it. Clarence Macklin runs circles around Kieran Culkin. Two different types of traumas. But I think it really shows not even just what the Academy, just the awards season, really in a nutshell, lets me know how people really feel about trauma. Black trauma, black circumstances, black stories. Continuously lets me know. Well, Michael, it is your opinion that Clarence Macklin has a better performance than Kieran Culkin. 100%. I love context. Give me context. Clarence Macklin plays himself. And yet I see plenty of tweets, plenty of comments, and plenty of people who are conflicted with Kieran Culkin winning, because he's playing a character that we've seen before. We've seen that. I watched Succession. I blanked for a second. I watched Succession. I see hints of Roy. I've seen hints of him. I've seen hits of him. Right? I've seen hints of him. I see Roy in there. I see Roman Roy in there. So I think like the weight of these performances and the weight of the circumstances. I think this film is just very beautiful. It's just very beautiful. And it really shows what the arts can truly do. I'm going to go into a spoilery moment right here. So if you don't want to listen, that's okay. I actually think you shouldn't listen. Personally. Let's skip ahead. But there's a scene with Divine G. Played by Coleman Domingo. Coleman Domingo plays Divine G. That's his name. That's what we know him as. So Divine G is, he's been trying to prove his innocence. He's went through tons of routes, and he has something. He finally has something. He believes he has something. He has tape. He has evidence. And so he goes to his hearing, And this whole scene just really just puts it into perspective. Excuse me. So Divine G goes to his hearing, and they're asking him a bunch of questions. And what should help him is the fact that he's in this program. Right? This program is supposed to mean something. So they're asking him all these questions, about why he's, does he know why he's in here? We have this tape, but we really can't prove if it's valid because the person that's on the tape is dead. Right? And so in this moment, you already know where this is going. You already know where this is going. If you can't prove that the tape is valid and that it works for his case, all right. So what does that mean? Like, what does that mean for me? And I think Divine G already knows that. He already knows what it means for him. He already knows that he's probably not getting out of here. He also already knows that the person asking him these questions decides to use this program against him and asks him, well, are you acting right now? Could you say you're acting right now since you're part of this acting program that's supposed to rehabilitate you? It's supposed to help you. Could you say that you're acting right now? And all I can just think as I'm watching that scene is, damn. Like this is how some of them are looked at. When it's unfortunate when he knows. Divine G knows. She's like, innocent. I am completely innocent. Instead of sticking to what's on the paper, instead of sticking to the things that I've done well, you're asking if I'm acting, if I'm using this as a moment to act, to make myself look good in this hearing. And it's a powerful scene that kind of breaks you, and it changes the whole dynamic of the movie. Because Divine Eye, played by Clarence Macklin, wasn't really looking to have a part in it or have a hearing. He wasn't looking to get out. He didn't think it was worth it. Divine G helps him. And the irony is that Divine Eye gets let go. He gets out. Receives this letter that says that they're going to let him out because Divine G helped him. And this sends Divine G into the spiraling hole where they're as they're preparing for this play, as these men are preparing for this play, Divine G has a breakdown that really changes everything. And that really makes you realize, geez, these men, a lot of them have done a lot of wrong. And I can't speak for all of them. I can't. But they've done a lot of wrong. And as they're trying to fight their way, they do a program that should be in good merits, good measures, should be really good, should be looked at as that's impactful. And instead, it's like this program feels like it failed for Divine G. This one thing that's supposed to help. There's no hope for the program. There's no hope for any of us, right? I mean, granted, Divine Eye gets out. But Divine G just loses all sense of hope. Has a meltdown, and he pushes everybody away. And it's crazy. And it's crazy to watch because he was so confident. He knows he's innocent. Right? He knows he's innocent. And instead, a tape that's supposed to prove his innocence is deemed invalid. And he's not let go. He stays there. Thankfully, the movie ends more beautifully in Divine G looks like he keeps fighting. I wonder if Divine G helped him. I'm pretty sure I could see that he did. But Divine G keeps fighting. And eventually it gets let out years later. Years later, after I think he was the only one in the program at the time. It looked like he kept doing the shows, kept doing it, and he was let go. And who's waiting for him as he gets out? Divine Eye is waiting for him. Sing Sing is one of the best movies that I've seen, and it breaks your heart that there are actually people out there. There are people in those facilities who've done wrong, and some of them haven't done wrong, and they're looking for a way out, man. They're looking for a way out. Crazy. It moves you. The movie will move you, and it's easily one of my favorite movies that I've seen in a long time. Sing Sing, y'all. Sing Sing. Go watch it. Go check it out. Let me know what you think. If you've seen it, respond in the comments. If you're listening to this, DM me your thoughts on Instagram or on Twitter. I want to hear your thoughts on this movie. It's a good movie. Actually, it's a great movie. Great movie. Highly recommend it. So, that looks like that's going to be it today for the Real Table Podcast. A lot of stuff. I didn't even think I was going to dive into that much stuff, but man, a lot of stuff in this episode. A lot from the news world and a lot of my thoughts. And then even Sing Sing, which, man, please go check out that movie. It's a beautiful movie. Beautiful movie. Next episode, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to let you know this now. Not sure when the next episode is going to be. I'm hoping sometime next week. But I'm in the process of moving to Columbus, Ohio. I'm excited about it. And that means there's going to be less time as I navigate this to figure out where to insert the podcast. But I'm going to figure it out. At least one episode a week like I've been doing as of recent. One episode. We're going to get one episode in of the podcast. I think Mickey 17, which might be the next big-ish movie, is on the horizon, March 7th, starring Robert Pattinson. I'm going to try to get in for that one. We'll see what time does and what time makes, if time is in my favor, I should say, in order to record the podcast episode. And maybe we'll do Daredevil. Maybe we'll do Daredevil Born Again pod episodes weekly, just to keep this thing going. One of my goals this year is to really continue to make content each week, even if it's just one episode or if it's 2 episodes a week, at least 1 episode a week. And so I'm trying to stick to that, and it's going to be a little tough for me. But follow me on Instagram, Twitter, on YouTube. Follow me on those spaces, TikTok, to keep up to date with the podcast, so you know what's coming and when it's coming, the new episodes. I will always post about it. It won't just be a random thing. I will post about it usually the day before the episode drops. So yeah, that's gonna be it. Again, follow me, stay tuned for more episodes. We're gonna be on the way. I'll see if I can get some people together to do maybe Daredevil. We can do Daredevil weekly episodes. 9 weeks of Daredevil Born Again, and then we got Mickey 17 March 7th, and then we'll see what the rest of the month into April looks like, heading into May, which that's when things start to ramp up. Right now a little silent, right now a little dead, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. Thank you so much for listening to the Real Table Podcast. I really appreciate y'all. Don't forget, like, subscribe, follow, share this with people. I want to continue to build this audience and continue to talk movies with you. All right, I'll see y'all soon. Be safe out there. Peace.